All right. Hey, everybody. How's it going? This is Charlie Herrington. I'm the Assistant Director of Outreach for the North Mississippi Get to College Center, and it's great to be here today. Today, we're talking about taking the right classes. And so, let me turn that down. Sorry. I've got that going on my phone, so that was going to be very distracting if I heard my voice twice. All right. So when we talk about taking the right classes, what does that really mean? So we're geared towards high school students today and making sure that they're taking the appropriate courses to prepare them for college, right? And so that's the very first question I want to ask students. Are you going to college? Do you want to go to college? And so if you answer yes to either one of those questions, we need to make sure that you're taking the proper steps and that you're taking the proper courses to get you admitted. And so honestly, depending on where you want to go to college, whether that's here in the state of Mississippi, or that's an out-of-state school, or maybe it's even a more selective school, a private school, like maybe an Ivy League. We're talking Princeton, Harvard, Yale, which I had an opportunity to speak with them this morning, so I can touch on a little bit of what was said in that session. But depending on the school that you go to and the type of college that you're choosing, your courses may look a little bit different, right? Also, senior year versus juniors and the following years or younger students, your courses may look a little bit different too. And we're going to talk about what I mean with that. And in reference to that, I'm talking about the health grant. So we'll get into that. All right, so let's start with home base. Let's start with Mississippi, okay? So knowing that with schools here in the state of Mississippi, all of our public four-year institutions have the exact same admissions requirements. And we've talked about some of those requirements before on our Facebook Lives, but with those requirements, all of them are going to require taking the college prep curriculum, or in short, we call it the CPC. So with the college prep curriculum, what is that? What does that mean? So we're going to look at that a little bit today. Let me get out of this so I can get back to, yeah, that's where I wanted to be. All right, now, so for the college prep curriculum, here it is. So seniors, if you were not aware, you need 4 Englishes. So all 4 years of high school, you need to have some form of English, correct? Mathematics, you need 3 units of math. So we're talking Algebra 1 is a must. You have to have Algebra 1, and then you have to have 2 maths higher than Algebra 1. So typically that's going to be Algebra 2 and geometry. Some students may take even higher. You may have an Algebra 3 or a trigonometry or calculus. So there are lots of different ways that you can go about that, but you do have to have Algebra 1 and then 2 higher. Science, you're going to have Biology 1. You need 3 units total of science. So Biology 1 plus 2 other sciences higher than Biology 1. So whether that's a chemistry or physics or Biology 2, whatever it is, it has to be higher than Biology 1. Social studies, we're looking at 3 units there. So we're looking at U.S. history, we're looking at world history, and then U.S. government and economics. Or if you don't take economics, you could also take Introduction to World Geography, okay? You also have to have a technology unit. So it's a half credit for technology. And typically that's gonna be, a lot of students take that in either 7th or 8th grade, but you may take it in 9th grade. So as long as you have a tech unit, and then you have to have an art. So that's at the top, I didn't mention that till now. But art, so that's going to be, art, theater, music, all of those are going to work for your art credit. And that's it, other than your advanced electives. Now, with advanced electives, it gets a little bit trickier. First of all, there are 3 different options. The first option would be to just take 2 foreign languages for your 2 advanced electives. So you could take Spanish 1 and Spanish 2, French 1 and 2, whichever one you choose. You could get your foreign languages and you're set, you're covered, right? Or you're like, dude, I don't want to take a bunch of foreign language. Instead, you could take just 1 year of foreign language. You could take Spanish 1, and then you could use advanced world geography. So earlier we talked about, instead of economics, you could take Introduction to World Geography. But for this advanced elective, it has to be an advanced world geography. Lastly, the third option, any combination of English, math, and science. Now, the math has to be higher than Algebra 1. The science has to be higher than Biology 1. And with that, it needs to be like an extra. What do I mean by extra? So we talked about with math, you have to have 3. Algebra 1, geometry, Algebra 2. All right, there's your 3. Let's say you also took Algebra 3, or you took calculus. All right, that 4th class could be your extra, and it can be used in your advanced selectives down here, okay? Or let's say you have biology 1, you have biology 2, you have chemistry, and you have human anatomy and physiology, human A and B. That A and P, or which, chemistry, whichever one you want to call your extra, that can be used as your advanced elective. So you can kind of mix and match and figure out how to do it. And you could get away with, you could do 2 units that are not even foreign languages. So you could go through all of high school and not take a foreign language and still get into a Mississippi university. Now, with that said, if you are planning on attending a school out of state, if you're planning on going somewhere else, you have to visit those schools or check those school websites and make sure that you know what they require. Because like I said, for Mississippi, you may get away with not taking foreign language at all. However, some schools are going to require at least 2 years of foreign language. I've even heard of 3 years of foreign language. So just knowing what each school requires is very, very important. Another, example of that, LSU, so Louisiana State, they used to require that you take a physics course, that you had to have physics before you could get admitted. Now, I'm not sure that requirement's still in place. I think they've made some changes, but just knowing those little things are very, very important, because if you wanted to go to LSU, but you didn't have that class, that's, a conflict of interest. Mississippi State, when it comes to their engineering programs, they really highly encourage students to have calculus. They want you to have calculus ahead of time so that you're familiar with it and you know that you can handle it. And when you get into those higher level math classes, when you get to Mississippi State, that you're not going to be struggling. You may struggle, everybody may struggle a little bit, but that you have a better grasp of that than just like throwing yourself into it. Oh my gosh, this is the first time I've ever seen any of this stuff. This is the first time I've ever seen any calculus. What do I do? So if you're a little bit more prepared, that's what they want. They also require 23 or higher on the ACT with higher subject scores in math and science. We're not here to talk about ACT though, so we're not going to get too much into that. Something else that I learned this morning. So I talked about this. We talked about this a little bit in our session, and my morning session was with Yale, Harvard, Princeton, Wellesley, and UVA, so University of Virginia. And something that they talked about was dual credit. So for those highly selective colleges, and so we're talking about Ivy League schools. UVA is a public school, but they're very selective. A Vanderbilt, a school like Vanderbilt, any of those types of schools, they are set to be a 4-year institution. They want you to start as a freshman, and they want you to graduate as a 4th-year senior. That's their goal, is to have you all 4 years. So if you have dual enrollment courses, or let's say you even can get your associate's degree while you're in high school. Maybe your school is partnered up with a community college and you can get your associate's degree as a senior in high school. That doesn't get you out of courses at those highly selective schools, okay? AP classes are great. Dual enrollment classes are great, and they want to see you enrolled in as many of those classes as you can possibly be enrolled in. However, they don't count for extra credit once you get to those highly selective schools. Now, why am I telling you that? Because if your goal of taking dual enrollment classes or taking AP classes and scoring highly on those AP tests, if your goal is to get out of as many, college hours as you can, out of the way early, maybe you want to start college as a sophomore, or better yet, get your associates early and start college as a junior, you won't be able to do that at those highly selective colleges. Yes, they still want you to take those classes. They still want you to be, as highly active, and they want to see you take rigorous coursework and, and strain yourself a little bit. They want to see all of that, but it's not going to really get you out of extra classes, if that makes sense. So you might want to think about that. If your goal is to start, with your freshman year already taken care of, and you're starting as a sophomore, maybe look at a public school here in Mississippi, your Ole Miss or Mississippi States or Southern Misses of the world. So think about what your goal is. Think about what classes you need to take. Where do you plan on going to college? Are you planning on going, again, here in Mississippi? We've got you pulled up. We got you right here. We got you covered on the screen. If you plan on going out of state, make sure you're checking the websites, checking with the admissions counselors, double checking all of those things. If you're planning on a private school or highly selective school, just make sure you're taking rigorous classes, but keep in mind, you're not going to be able to get out of a lot of those classes once you get to college. You're still going to have to take your English composition, the college algebras, and those early classes, okay? Now, I mentioned the Help Grant. I'm going to talk through that for just a minute. With the help grant, for my current seniors, the class of 2021, you still have to have an extra advanced elective. So it says right here on the screen, take one additional advanced elective to be eligible for the help grant. For juniors and younger students, that's going to go away. The CPC is going to align perfectly with the help grant, and you're not going to need an extra advanced elective. So for you guys, ignore that part. But for my seniors, you have to have an extra advanced elective. So when we talked about those 3 options, whether it's foreign language 1 and 2, or just 1 year of foreign language with advanced world geography, or any combination of those lots of different classes, you have to have one extra one, okay? So just keep that in mind. One extra elective that's an advanced elective, okay? You can use dual enrollment classes. You can use AP classes, excuse me. And if your school is an IB school, you can also use that. If you're not familiar with IB, then your school probably isn't an IB school, but that's a special form of diploma. It's similar to AP. It's very similar to AP. So if your school does that, you'll know more about that. But anyways, that is taking classes. Just to go over the help grant one more time real quick, you have to have a 20 or higher on your ACT, a 2.5 or higher GPA in high school. That GPA comes from this core college prep curriculum, that core CPC. 2.5, take the CPC seniors plus one extra elective, advanced elective, and then you have to meet the income component. So your household income has to be at $39,500 or below. Now, if you have brothers and sisters under the age of 21, we're going to add some money to that, but that gets a little bit more complicated. If you want to see more about the help grant, go to our website, gettocollege.org, go to students and families, and under financial aid, you'll see Mississippi Aid. Click on that, and that will allow you to scroll down to the help grant, and you can read all about it, what you need, how much money the income requirement is, all that good stuff. Why am I talking about the help grant? Because it qualifies you for full tuition and required fees in any public school in the state of Mississippi. So a 2-year or a 4-year school. If it's public, you get full tuition covered. So again, we want to make sure that we're staying on the right track, we're taking the right courses, we're preparing ourselves, and we're setting ourselves up for success by taking all of those right classes. So that's it. That's what I have for you guys. Let me double check and see if we had any questions along the way that I might have missed. Keep in mind that my coworker Brandy was here with us, and she's dropped a couple of great links for you in the chat box, so you can check those resources out. Thank you so much for being here with us. We'll be back with you again next week for another Instagram and Facebook Live. Again, thank you, and I hope everyone has a great day. See you later. Bye.